Welcome to Crypto in America Live, the only show bringing you candid conversations on the biggest news stories, legal issues, and policy developments shaping the crypto world every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Happy Black Friday. We decided to do a show today. Super excited to bring you a Friday show on the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are all full of turkey. And
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, happy Black Friday. Yeah.
I'm in my parents' house, guys. I created this flag behind me when I was in high school. I think it was foreshadowing the whole Crypto in America thing. Oh my God, you did not need to full screen it. It's all ceramic. So,
that's cool.
True
Very cool.
through and through.
Yeah. Gerald, are you home? Where are you?
I am down in Charleston for the week. So, coming at you from the spare bedroom. And we'll see if we get interrupted by the dogs barking at all, but so good so far. So, yeah.
The more the merrier. Bring them in.
Yeah, bring them
in. Well, we have another packed show today, as usual. First up, we have Anchorage Digital's Global Head of Operations, Rachel Anderika, and VP of Stablecoins, Martin Carrica, to discuss Anchorage's stablecoin rewards program and what it means as the fight for stablecoin yield heats up on Capitol Hill. We'll then be joined by Executive Director of New Hampshire Business Finance Authority, James Key-Wallace, and the co-founder of Wave Digital Assets, Les Borsai. They'll be breaking down exactly how the world's first Bitcoin-backed conduit bond works and why New Hampshire was able to offer it first. But as always, the week's top headlines, as we always kick off the show with these. Let's start with the markets. I mean, it's Black Friday, guys. I think a lot of people were maybe thinking that we would have a black market sale in today. If we were looking at the markets the last couple of weeks or so, it looked like we were going to be continuing on a downtrend, but it looks like maybe a mini rebound today. I mean, Bitcoin's back up above 90, so that's a positive sign.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. I wish it was back over 100, but I'll take it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a Christmas wish. But yeah, I think it's it's interesting. We were talking about this before we started recording. I feel like there's this like Thanksgiving bump. Everybody's sitting around the table. You got Gen Z telling these boomers like what they've been up to, and maybe we got a little Thanksgiving boomer Bitcoin bump from the Thanksgiving table. So
yeah,
good to see that. Maybe a little more stability in the markets overall. We'll see.
Yeah, I know last bull market, I told my family, oh, it's going up, things are good, you should buy it. And then by, which I should never do again. And then by Christmas.
Not financial advice. Not financial advice at all.
Not financial advice. I'm not giving any more advice. I was just talking about my personal bags, and then they were like, everything is down. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I should probably not tell people to buy things when they don't know to, sell or keep track of these things. So I'm staying out of the game.
Was anyone asking about crypto at all over your Thanksgiving tables this year?
Go ahead, Gerald.
I've gotten really tired of trying to explain what we do. So there's a lot of talk of travel and the podcast, and I really try to not get into specifics of the crypto conversation at the Thanksgiving table. I feel like it gets derailed so quickly. It's tough to dive into that.
I went out for Thanksgiving Eve to dinner with some friends and their boyfriends, and they had many questions about what I do for work. And then they also asked me specifically, and I know some of our audience members will like this, they asked about Bitcoin and XRP. They're like, what are your thoughts on that? And
XRP, that the army is strong. Yeah, even at Thanksgiving, no holidays off.
Yeah, but my family's well versed in what I do. They don't bother me anymore, unless they really want to know something. But Ellie, what about you?
It was mostly about the podcast and not too much. My parents have sort of given up on trying to understand crypto in general. I tell my mom a lot about what I write about with the newsletter, and she's like, okay, tell it to me, but I don't expect to understand. And I try and break it down, but I think kind of just past the point of like, all right, having them really try and, get excited about what I do. So, they get excited that, I'm having a good time, but beyond that, it's kind of just like, all right, great. I did want to point out though, that the Fed, the poly market, I think today actually put out this morning an update. I think 87% that it's likely that it's going to be a Fed rate cut in December. So I think the market's like that. It's probably a little bit of a reaction to that. Couple days ago, it was going to be the forecast wasn't looking so hot. I think Fed Chair Jerome Powell said, don't expect a Fed rate cut in December. So could be giving the markets a little bit of a boost. And then also Bloomberg.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I don't hear Ellie.
Did we lose Ellie's audio?
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, on
Uh-oh.
that note, Ellie, when you decide to come
great
back and
segue.
talk again, literally. I guess on this note, on the front of Polymarket, we can also talk about Polymarket receiving the full CFTC approval to operate as an exchange. And then on the flip side, there was also some news about Kalshi too, that is essentially the judge ruled that it's subject to Nevada's gaming rules. I also saw some posts out there that were saying in terms of Kalshi, it was that a lot of times people, or not people, literally the filing said that they were playing against the House in some ways. I don't know if you saw that too, Gerald. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, no. So there's so much going on here, right? So Kalshi acquired a CFTC registered broker dealer, Polymarket did over the summer to integrate and be sort of a true futures market contract. So now they're being treated essentially as a DCM, a designated contract market, which is like the official big boy buttoned up way to do to be regulated by the Commodities Exchange Act. There are still like some criticisms of I guess the scope of what they're offering. And then Kalshi on the other side, what's crazy is you see a lot of this comes down to just marketing. Like I had somebody send like a screenshot of a Kalshi ad the other day that was like it literally just said like bet just bet on sports on Kalshi, and it's like, okay, you guys maybe like calm down. And then you also, so what's unique about Nevada is this is a state action, state judge with a very robust history and kind of a bunch of constituents in the gaming industry to protect. Right. So there's so many different factors going on. I feel like prediction markets as a sort of regulatory topic are just going to keep evolving for a while, until we figure this out. But Ellie, do we have you back?
Yes. Do you have me?
Nice.
Oh, we missed you.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
It's okay. Wait, okay. So with the Polymarket CFTC approval, it allows it to operate as an exchange. Is that different than it being a prediction market? Like, what is kind of the difference here? Because there's got to be one, right?
So yeah, Ellie, I don't know if you want to jump on, but it's so basically part of this is having your contracts be able to list on other markets as well. So instead of having to go directly on crypto rails like Polymarket, you can actually go look at some of those contracts on, and I'm forgetting what it stands for now, FCMs. But there's basically what this does is broaden the scope and the reach of what Polymarket can offer and makes them a little more Web 2 native than degen oriented.
It's amazing what they've been able to achieve in just the past 2 or 3 months. I mean, all the partnerships they've been signing, it seems like it's just a Polymarket takeover.
Yeah,
so if you're listening to Polymarket, you're welcome to sponsor the show.
There you go.
We are open. Yeah.
We're open to discussions. Yeah.
Maybe that's a market that needs to be opened on a Polymarket. Will Kalshi sponsor the Crypto in America podcast?
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Well, I guess I'll jump back in here. Hopefully my audio doesn't cut out again. But the SEC issued a no action letter to another DeepIn company, right? It was Fuse Energy. And they basically said that their token offerings are not securities. And the reason is that the SEC found that the token's value comes from the use within the Fuse network as opposed to investor profits. So that was another big win, I think, for not only for Fuse, but also for DeepIn projects. Gerald, remind me which DeepIn project they gave the NAL to a couple weeks ago.
Wasn't it
double zero? So double zero, which is
right.
DeepIn project on Solana for now. I think they want to go multi-chain in the future. Fuse, as you mentioned, another DeepIn project in the like EV energy space, so doing like distributed energy grid stuff. And this I think like it's clear. The SEC and the crypto task force in particular obviously have not been trying to abandon their regulatory sort of duty, but I think have been, with like the Atkins speech a couple of weeks ago, another no action letter, are being very proactive about what they're willing to kind of not step into, like not regulate, right? When they talk about network tokens, collectibles, things like that. And so this is obviously pretty bullish for DeepIn, just on another case where the SEC is saying, look, if you're doing physical infrastructure and the token isn't some kind of like a sort of LARPing utility thing, then we're okay with that. And
What does
so
LARPing mean?
okay. So it actually stands for live action role playing is what it stands for, but it's become this meme of just like pretending.
Yeah, yeah. Like you're
You're
LARPing,
pretending.
you're like BSing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
LARPing around. I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Got it. I've heard it before. I just never actually knew what it meant.
On this show, we define different
There
things.
you go. Define term. Add it to the lexicon. Yeah. LARPing.
Literally.
Break down the jargon. All right. And then last story of the week, Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike, is accusing JP Morgan of debanking him. And I think we have the letter here that Mallers got framed. And it was a letter from JP Morgan essentially telling him that they were closing all of his accounts and they didn't give a reason. Now, this is pretty standard from what I understand. When they call you and say, hey, we're closing all your accounts, they don't typically tell you why. And this is pretty standard across all boards, as far as I understand. But it's just another example of Chase still engaging in debanking. But, I did reach out to JP Morgan. They obviously did not have a comment for me. I didn't expect them to have a comment for me when they weren't telling Jack Mallers himself exactly why he got debanked. Yeah. But I was pointed in the direction of this being very much sort of a symptom of sort of AML, BSA, these sort of outdated legacy systems flagging what look like AML, red flags in the system, and potentially, is it something to be concerned about? Is it not? They have a very erring on the side of caution, that they adhere to at the bank. Like they would rather close an account for being cautious than let an account potentially like slip by and actually have like an AML problem. So like they are very like these legacy systems are, pretty like old and they're pretty outdated. So there's a like an argument to be had here for, updating these systems. I think like the Treasury is actually, advocating for updating rules. I know there's something in the market structure bill, I think, about potentially like updating this BSA requirements. So it's an interesting kind of perfect storm here, right? With just sort of Jack Mallers is like the latest victim of debanking, but it could be a symptom of something bigger.
Yeah, I think so the biggest headline here is that Jack Mallers had a bank account. He's kind of famous for, he holds Bitcoin, and I'm being facetious, obviously. Jack, if you see this, we'd love to have you on the show and talk about all the cool stuff you're doing. But no, it's interesting. I think it's so vague that you can't really tell if this was something specific to maybe some kind of a trigger. I know he does a lot of work in like Latin America and with local governments there. So it's really hard to tell like why this actually happened. I do think, Ellie, to your point, like we've seen, reputational risk and all these sort of commercial bank thresholds sort of get rolled back by the OCC and Treasury. But as you mentioned, like it still applies to individuals, and obviously, I think there's still risks to dealing with the traditional financial system as somebody who is as deeply embedded as crypto as someone like Jack is. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, with Operation Choke Point 2.0, a lot of this was happening behind doors. I don't think a lot of people wanted to talk about it publicly because it wasn't necessarily they felt comfortable talking about. And we've had guests on the show talking about it after the fact, once that kind of all settled. But I mean, we can't really say with certainty, and Ellie asked JP Morgan, what actually happened there. But I think it's definitely cause for concern. And I wonder if there are other people out there who have dealt with the same thing past Operation Choke Point 2.0 that, aren't as public as Jack or aren't going to tweet it out or something like that, where it's kind of like, you don't really know whether it's because you operate within the crypto space or if it's like something else that they flagged. Right. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
It's interesting too. Like and then Jack responded to a tweet from Senator Lummis, who tweeted about how this is just refueling the whole debanking debate. And he said that allegedly JP Morgan is rejecting some deposits to Strike. So it might be a Strike thing as opposed to a Jack Mallers thing. So, could be more of like a, anti-Bitcoin, not anti-Bitcoin, but you know what I mean? Sort of more of a broader pattern of discrimination against a payments app like Strike as opposed to like Jack Mallers himself. But it'll be interesting to see if there's anything else that comes out of this, as I feel like it probably has put a little bit more of a focus on debanking since we had those hearings in February and the executive order. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Be good to keep an eye on it.
All right, guest time.
Guest time. So getting to our first guests, they come from Anchorage Digital. It is Rachel Anderika, Head of Global Operations, and Martin Carrica, VP of Stablecoins. This week, the team announced it's rolling out a rewards program for stablecoins following the Genius Act, and we're going to get all into how that works with implementation currently going on. But for now, welcome to the show, Rachel and Martin. Excited to have you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Great to be on, you guys.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Of course.
Yeah, happy Black Friday.
Happy Black Friday.
American holiday, yes.
Yeah, I see your flag in the background. So,
Yes,
you're
we're very patriotic here today.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
How were your Thanksgivings?
Mine was great. I'm here in St. Mary's, Georgia, which is a lovely small town. And, as a typical Northeasterner, I have a wardrobe of like all black. So I spent most of my holiday
all
saying,
aligned.
yeah, no, I'm not from around here. How'd you guess?
Literally. That's very New York. Are you in New York usually?
Yeah, usually New York, Connecticut.
Called it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
or when we see each other in Cayman. But yeah,
Exactly.
generally,
On a beach in
generally,
Cayman. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, super excited to talk to you guys about this. I've made the very imperfect argument just to jump into it, and I want to know more about what you guys are building and what you launched. But that these native issued stablecoins or something like sort of a Delta Amex card where there's this hyper loyal user base and enough volume that they can be picky with an issuer, and it's that kind of loyalty that drives things, as opposed to something like universal rails that are more agnostic, like a MasterCard or a Visa, right? Where there's maybe here would be something like Circle and Tether. It sounds like with what you're launching, that's maybe the direction we're going in. Again, it's a very messy analogy, but how do you think this works sort of in practice as you roll out? Maybe just give us a bit more about what you're launching.
Yeah, sure. So I'm glad that you brought it up, right? There was an article last week about how we're launching stablecoin rewards, and we actually have been offering a stablecoin rewards program on stablecoins that we support since 2024. And the way that we do this is through an affiliated entity. And so you can think of them, and I think your analogy is right. You can think of them really as almost akin to a marketing expense or the type of thing that you would see promoting participation in a network, which is kind of the way that we think about it. I'm almost surprised at the discussion of yield being put into the public lexicon, because this really isn't yield. And so we've been offering this since 2024, and we do it on PayUSD, and we do it on Global Dollar as well. And so, as an issuer, if the issuing partner wants to offer this to their holders, we will provide the offering through the program that we have. And I'll talk a little bit more about yield in a little while. But Martin, do you want to kind of talk a little bit more about the mechanics of how we do it?
Yeah, so the way it works is this works for Anchorage clients, right? So you have to be onboarding into Anchorage. You're holding stable coins of, in this case, we added USDTB and USD to the existing program that had PYUSD and USDG on. And if you're holding those stable coins for whatever reason, right, it could be because the banking system operates on business hours. And if you want to on-ramp funds because there's an opportunity in crypto, you might want to hold the assets in stable coins, or many other reasons why you are holding these assets. You hold the assets in Anchorage, and the partner essentially would allow us to offer these rewards. Clients need to opt in for these rewards, and they are paid out in a monthly way. Very similar to, I would say, other rewards programs that are out there, with slightly different structuring details. So that's a summary. I think we are talking with mostly everyone in the space that's thinking about issuing a stablecoin. Many of them are thinking about how they kick off these networks and network effects. And the analogy of Amex or a Visa or a MasterCard, networks and stablecoins matter a lot. So kickstarting that activity is very important. And we see, I would say, more often than not, clients are thinking of turning on these rewards programs on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at Anchorage, you guys build so many products, and off of this foundation, I'm kind of curious, how does this kind of fit into the bigger roadmap for you guys, and where do you kind of see it going from here?
I would say,
Oh, go on, Martin.
Yeah, I would say the biggest. So we've announced that we've typically been a custodian, right? So that's how Anchorage started. We've added a number of business units. The latest add was stablecoin issuance, right? So after the Genius Act, we started working a little bit before, but after the Genius Act, we announced stablecoin issuance as a service. We've now signed and announced Ethena USDTB, which is an offshore stablecoin that we onshored into the US. I think that's a huge success for the Genius Act and kind of bringing crypto into America, right? So a great thing. We signed Tether and USAT, which is going to be offering a product again in the US. Another story of crypto in America. Western Union, which is a more traditional player getting into crypto, seeing essentially the benefits of crypto to run their operation. And we have several others in the pipe. So that's been kind of the biggest kind of business unit that we've launched thanks to the regulatory clarity that Genius is providing, and the fact that like all these institutions are now very comfortable getting in because they're stepping on solid ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rachel, I'm curious. So with this, you guys paying, rewards on stablecoins. I mean, you mentioned like you guys had already been doing this. This is also something we also know that Coinbase and Circle do. I mean, is there anything sort of new here? I mean, to kind of that goes into maybe what we're seeing with sort of the argument that's going on right now between like the banks and between crypto, sort of this fight to maybe change the rules and Genius in the upcoming Market Structure Act. Is there anything here that might implement or might kind of like give away some ideas to how the OCC is thinking about how they might be implementing this going forward, not only in Genius, but also in market structure? Or is this sort of just like, run of the mill, like you guys were offering this, or is there anything really new that kind of gives us any clues as to how they might be thinking about, what they're going to do next?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So so far, this is really business as usual, right? Like we are offering the rewards the same way that we have been since 2024. We're really watching what, if anything, will be said in rulemaking about things like rewards. This has been a really controversial topic in DC. It's been really controversial with the banking lobby, and I get it. I would probably, if that were my job, I would probably be lobbying on that same behalf as well. But the thing about, Martin mentioned this, networks matter a lot, right? And the more a network is used, the more a network is used, right? So when you think about any time you're trying to incentivize participation in a network, and particularly when it comes to money, we are all deeply entrenched in how we operate with our money. And so to do something differently, you have to incentivize people to change behavior a little bit. And so what incentivizes people the most? In the 80s, people thought it was toasters to open up checking accounts. And now we incentivize people with money. And that works, right? It'll work to be able to incentivize people over to whatever network that we're offering it for. And the hope here is that they come on and they see the utility that is provided by that network. You see quicker settlement, lower costs, less friction. And then over time, perhaps you see those rewards going away because people have changed their behavior a little bit. It would be, I think, a mistake to take that away as a tool for issuers to use, or for people who want to issue stablecoins to use, because then you're kind of like perpetuating the same, network behaviors that currently exist, right? And what we're trying to do with Genius is we're trying to export the use of the dollar. We are trying to make sure that the United States of America maintains its dominance as the financial center of the world. So we really want payments to be made very efficiently. We want settlement times to reduce, and we want to see those things happen at a much lower cost. So, and what I'm hoping to see is, the rulemakers really think about what we're trying to do here with stablecoins, and what the congressional intent of Genius actually was to help us rethink the payment landscape in the US, right? And so that won't happen if people are not driving to these networks.
Yeah, Rachel, I'm super curious. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Like to the question of like, is this new? So I would say, and there's the story around deposit flight, right, which is kind of tied to the yield and that narrative. So we've seen 50 years of money market funds and several waves of high yield checking accounts being offered. Goldman Sachs in 2017, a bunch of fintechs in the 2022 2023 era, and you don't see that deposit flight in practice, right? So the stickiness of money is money is like highly sticky. You see very slow walk of people changing their behavior. We think crypto in itself is not a huge difference in that, right? So where we see growth is the export of the dollar and people offshore adopting stable coins a lot faster than people in the US. And I think people at home might relate. Many, when I explain to a coworker that's not in crypto, they ask me like, why would I use stablecoin and not just pay with Zelle or Venmo? While people offshore have I'm from Argentina, very, very clear, tangible value on stablecoins. So I think from an abundance perspective, this is about doubling or tripling the size of stablecoins, or a lot more, through bringing dollarization to the world and helping other people in the world participate in the financial system that they can freely choose, and doing that through crypto rails. So to your question, I think it's like more of like a business as usual. We've seen this before, and the changes on behaviors locally have been very low. But I think it's a huge opportunity to help people offshore like fund all of this marketing expense to dollarize the rest of the world.
Yeah. Can I just tell you guys a quick story? The first time I ever met Martin was last year when we were doing due diligence on Mountain Protocol to acquire Mountain. And the first thing he said was, just so you know, every Argentinian is a CFO. And we will find the best place to put our money and with the least friction. And so, Martin, that actually stuck with me a lot, because it made me really think about, how savvy people, how when you don't have good networks, how you have to really think about your payments. You have to really think about where that money is. Here in the US, we're kind of lazy about it because it generally works. But when you're talking about like where the most cost can be taken out, which is international payments, that matters a lot, right?
Yeah, Rachel, I really appreciate the walkthrough. It sounds like a super exciting kind of product that you guys are putting out there. I want to go back to this notion of a CFO. So I think I saw recently, just to go back to this Delta Amex relationship or analogy as well. Amex, I believe, paid Delta last quarter 2.1 billion, which I think was their entire net income for the last quarter. So we know that value accrues to these networks when they're used. And Delta obviously is not in the business of running banks or credit cards, but if you call the flights a network, that you can see value accruing there. How does this fit into everything else you guys are doing in Anchorage? Like, where do you see the value flowing back to other parts of the business, or is there this is just more bank kind of activity that is very exciting and you're able to do it? Like, how do you see that playing out for other parts of the business in the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for us, it's very important to build on top of our custodial infrastructure, right? And that's what the Stablecoins does. I mean, we also do things, and people kind of forget that we do a ton of things in financial services. We also have a prime desk. We, so we also offer trading. That's very, very important for people to for that to be built on top of our custodial solution, to be able to have like kind of a frictionless, in and out. It really helps when people are using the stable coins that we are issuing. It's easier for us. It's much less friction for the clients. So I think that when you're talking about like networks, yes, we're a participant in a network, but you can think of Anchorage as also a node in a much larger crypto ecosystem. Particularly around the institutional use cases. And so I would say for us, stablecoins, yes, it is like its own vertical as a business. And we do offer the ability for an issuer to issue stablecoins on the terms that they want for the use case that that they are seeing. But we're also, onboarding all of those clients into into our custodial infrastructure. We're offering them trading, we're offering them safe settlement, all within our secure and compliant network. We're offering on and off ramps. We are offering, US dollar custodial accounts. Hey, Jack, hit us up. So, it really is like, that's what we're trying to be, is we're trying to be really a one-stop shop, and also the place that you come to build on top of.
Yeah. Rachel, Martin, before we let you go, since yesterday was Thanksgiving, today's Black Friday, we have to ask you guys, what are some of the things you are most thankful for this year? Could be professional, could be personal, but you guys came for the holiday episode, so we got to bring it.
Could be genius. It might just be genius.
Yeah. I am most thankful for good policy made in the cold light of day.
There we go.
Love it.
Martin? I see you nodding, yeah.
From a professional perspective, and also a personal perspective, I'm thankful that the US kind of woke up in that there is this massive potential. And by actually giving clarity, we can give people freedom. And essentially, crypto is a way for people to express what financial services do you want to consume in a free way. And they end up consuming America's financial products. And that might seem like very esoteric, but in practice is my grandma saving in US dollars versus getting inflated out by the printing of the peso, right? So the work that you guys are kind of tracking, and the work that we as an industry are doing is huge. And I think 2025 has been like hugely pivotal in terms of actually getting that from a niche use case for retail in a subset of countries to something that can scale 10 or 100x from here. So very, very happy with Genius and upcoming clarity, and like what the SEC is doing. I think that there's been a 180 and we're very happy for that.
Amazing.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on, Rachel and Martin. We really appreciate it.
I'm also grateful for crypto in America. Thanks,
guys.
There we go.
Not
right.
required, but appreciated. Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
okay,
we didn't pay them to say that.
Question, right?
Yeah.
They give real good professional answers.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. Because I feel like, I don't know, Gerald, because this sort of, it just reminds me of what's going on with Coinbase and Circle, right? Like what their structure is not necessarily new, but it was sort of framed in the CoinDesk article as sort of this new thing. So I was just curious. That's kind of why I asked, like, what is exactly like novel about this?
Yeah. No, I think it's this idea that like transactions are value to networks, and if you're able to do highly regulated transactions, then you can accrue more value to networks. Yeah. You're right. Like this idea that like I loved it. Like when the network gets more transactions, the network gets more transactions, right?
Yeah. Right.
I know.
Yep.
It's true though. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Super interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of super interesting, our next guests are coming on to talk about the first Bitcoin-backed bond. And they're coming from New Hampshire, at least one of them is. James Key-Wallace is the executive director of New Hampshire's Business Finance Authority. And Les Borsai is the co-founder of Wave Digital Assets, and he's one of the co-creators of this Bitcoin-backed bond. Earlier this month, I reported an exclusive that the state of New Hampshire became the first ever state, actually, I think the first ever like government entity anywhere to approve a municipal-backed bond in Bitcoin.
Exclusive.
It's an LA exclusive. Yes, it
is. I was waiting for it.
There we go. James and Les, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you on.
Good afternoon. Happy to be here.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us. There you go. My Friday brain working. Well, so the bond, let's kind of break this down for our audience. The bond lets companies borrow against over-collateralized Bitcoin held by a private custodian. But it's this brand new structure, right, that no one has ever done before. You guys kind of came up with this structure. Can you kind of just break down, James, we can start with you in simple terms, how this bond works, who the issuer is, who the buyers are, like what exactly is the format here?
Sure, Eleanor, and hello, everybody. Thanks. Good to see you. So I'll talk a little bit about the state side of this, and then maybe I'll kick it to Les to talk about kind of the client, the buyer, and sort of that. So basically, this is a conduit bond. So for any of your listeners that don't know what a conduit bond is, it means that it's issued by the New Hampshire Business Finance Authority, which is us, but it's at the essence a private financing to a private entity, but it goes through the state's issuing authority, which turns it into something known as one type of municipal bond. So the bond gets issued, the lender lends the funds, the lender is secured by an over-collateralized amount of Bitcoin held in a third-party administered New Hampshire statutory trust. What that means is the $100 million that they borrow, there's say 150 million in this trust with standing orders that if the Bitcoin falls below a lower level than 150, there's an automatic replenishment to top it up. But if it falls below an even lower level, there's an automatic trigger to sell the Bitcoin to make sure the lender is whole. And by structuring it as a municipal bond, which is a first, which is great, that means you can take what in some cases is considered kind of an unconventional asset in my world, right? The kind of traditional capital markets world, and use it to access financing as if it were a traditional asset, like you would a factory building, a stock and bond portfolio. Municipal bonds get placed in buyers' hands in a wide category of institutional purchasers. So it just cracks the market open in a brand new way, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, when we were thinking about the structure, it was kind of an unorthodox approach. And, my background kind of working with government since 23 was taking a look at states and seized assets and what a digital reserve looked like. And that really kind of, influenced the structure of this instrument. Because the eventuality, and James will talk about this a little bit, is obviously creating a lot of other instruments that are similar, creating derivatives, eventuality of tokenized versions of this. But it also was really, based on this premise of a digital reserve having an underlying asset to be able to issue to bring back resource to a state. So that's how a lot of this got started.
Yeah, I also want to ask you guys kind of about like the broader impact on this, right? Because like it definitely is a milestone in the kind of debt market, the global debt market, and it's moving things from private to public. I'm moving myself out of the camera, I should say in the shot. But how do you kind of see this as like a milestone that could pave the way for digital assets to enter, that $140 trillion global debt market? What would that look like in practice?
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. I mean, you nailed it, right? So the way we built this transaction, even though this first one is a single transaction, the model of the transaction where you have kind of Bitcoin held in a trust, and then it's secured by a series of, in the capital markets, actually very common structures to build a securitization model. So you get this model that any large institutional holder of cryptocurrency we can duplicate with this New Hampshire model. So you don't have to sell your digital assets. You can run them through the structure, access the capital markets, bring liquidity into your organization, right? And then as it goes up, which we all hope that it will, you have ample resources to pay that loan off. And if it goes down, if that failure event was triggered and the lender was sold or repaid through sold proceeds, the company still has their money, right? They still have the $100 million. It's just like they sold it to begin with, right? So you get to keep your optionality for upside while still getting liquidity based on what otherwise are kind of more difficult to spend assets. That secret sauce just opens up huge opportunity for any large company that's sitting on significant, digital asset holdings. And I think as Les said, let's say you're a state government that is doing the same, right? As you look at states potentially adopting digital currency reserves, that's great, except you can't spend it unless you want to sell it, right? Not exactly true, but you know what I mean. And so, this gives a way for states to build those reserves, still get US dollar liquidity based on those reserves, and, reserve their optionality for upside on the instrument.
And I'll answer the question just in a little bit of a different way. We had an executive order come out where the president was very clear about pensions and retirement plans. And now we see the FHFA talking about crypto-backed mortgages. there's a lot of elements to get to that place. One of the things that we're kind of also concluding is a ratings process to make it even more of a unique product. So I think, the unique elements of this product are the upside that traditional retirement funds and pensions can participate in without taking direct exposure, which isn't part of their mandates. What we're trying to do is create a safe product, and that's how we're going to open up that debt market.
Yeah, so I want to get the New Hampshire perspective. We obviously couldn't have you guys on and not talk about what you did with HB 302 back in May of 2025. I know that was a state legislature, but it was a big sort of milestone in terms of establishing strategic reserves and just overall sort of comfort at the state level with Bitcoin as an asset class. And so just to give our audience kind of a review there, HB 302 was a first of its kind attempt at putting guardrails around strategic Bitcoin reserves. The law is not exclusive to Bitcoin, but it does contain this really important caveat that an asset, in order to be included, must be over 500 billion in value. And so we've seen a lot of states move forward in innovative ways in integrating digital assets. It seems like that was a big first step, and now you have this municipal bond coming out. How does this strategy kind of continue to roll out, at the state level and maybe for New Hampshire specifically?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think that this transaction really came to New Hampshire, really Les, introduced himself to us because of the visibility New Hampshire obtained through that legislation. And I think the signal, really the takeaway, is that New Hampshire's open for business, right? We've long been a state where innovation is rewarded. Our government really rewards success. It doesn't punish it, right? No income tax, no sales tax, no state capital gains tax, right? These are the kind of things that New Hampshire likes to make sure people know this is a good place to do business. And that includes for really future-facing companies, right? And the digital reserve law, the first ever, kind of municipal Bitcoin-backed bond. We want to be the center of the ecosystem for, digital currency finance, right? And who knows where this will lead. So if you're a company and you say, where am I going to go that the government's a partner to me? New Hampshire, we want that to be the answer.
Yeah, and I think the other big difference here, besides James' leadership on this, is you have a supportive government. Conduit issuance has been around for a while, and people can conduit issue, but to get the support that we're seeing from New Hampshire as a whole is pretty remarkable. They just really, understand the big vision of what we're trying to accomplish here. And it really does also coincide with things like seizures, unclaimed property, the ability to take crypto for taxes in the future. And in the case of, the law that passed in New Hampshire, to buy this, asset class. So to use it as an underlying is a pretty exciting thing that we're going to build on.
Yeah, Les, curious what next steps are for the Bitcoin bond. You mentioned a rating, a potential rating. I'm curious to know what's going on there. And then also, I'm assuming you guys are waiting for a buyer. What does that process look like between the two?
Well, I'll just comment on this really quick. Yes, we are going through a rating process. This is a very complex instrument. The upside, creates some tax positions that we have to deal with. I wouldn't say we're waiting for a buyer. The truth of the matter is that the demand for this product outweighs the supply by a pretty long shot. So, there's other underlying elements that we haven't been able to talk about because of compliance reasons, but obviously we have an underwriter that, is connected to a very big audience of buyers, should I say. So this is really just kind of concluding of the structuring, and maybe James can speak a little bit about process so people understand, the launch versus what the final steps are here.
Sure. So in New Hampshire, like in many states, you have an issuing authority. We approve the bond, right? So the bond's issuance gets approved by the BFA board of directors. We're the issuer. So that is done. Then you go and you finalize all the documents, right? The trust paperwork, the indenture, just a bunch of the transaction specific documents. And then you bring it to what's called in New Hampshire, the governor and executive council meeting. Most states, have something like this. That's our version, which is, our governor, and then a 5-member elected body who has to, by vote, approve transactions over a certain amount in the state of New Hampshire. And that's a public event with a public hearing. It's actually pretty exciting. It's a great sort of down to earth, basic democratic process on display in New Hampshire, but it also shows New Hampshire's commitment to transparency and what's happening. So that's the last step in the chain, and that's right what we're doing now. So we're pretty excited, and it'll be a big deal. So we're all looking forward to it.
And what I'm excited about is, really the example that this creates. If we take a look at the bailout that just failed in Argentina, and the hopes that they would have some underlying Bitcoin, in the country. If we take a look at what the federal government is holding right now, something to the tune of 40 billion in Bitcoin, this really becomes an incredible vehicle that New Hampshire really pioneered. And the way we did it, was unique to create a use case, because there's no state, not even New Hampshire, that would allow us to play with house money, not yet, on an experiment. So, really crafting all of the individual pieces, has been kind of a labor of love. When you take a look at, you have to use a crypto custodian because they trade 24/7 in case there's some sort of event where you need an automatic liquidation. Yet there's elements with traditional finance that you have to adhere to. So it's been a lot of fun to figure out the angles, I should say.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been such an interesting conversation. It's such an interesting, new vehicle that you guys are putting to work here. It'll be really cool to see the next steps as they evolve. And make sure you come back and tell us on Crypto in America once we have some more news around it.
We're not letting them go until they tell us what they're thankful for this year.
Oh, I forgot. All right.
You guys have to tell us.
That's it. It's our holiday episode. Yeah.
You
Okay.
guys do it. So
Yeah.
what are you thankful for this year? Professional, personal, whatever you want.
Sure. Well, I am your kind of traditional New England family man. So I had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday with my wife and young son and extended family, and everybody is happy and healthy. And, all this innovation and the support New Hampshire brings to businesses is great. I'm thankful for that. But at the end of the day, it's because I think we all want to live happy, fulfilling lives. And I'm just really appreciative of the one that I have.
That's really sweet. We got the audience saying it.
Oh, man.
That is really
that.
I love that. All right, guys, take us home.
I had Thanksgiving with my dog. So,
You got to go to James's next year.
Thanksgiving. So I'm happy that I'm still, full of energy as I age.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys for joining us after Thanksgiving, and we really appreciate it. We'll be in touch, I'm sure.
Thank
soon.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
A lot of insight there. I love that.
Yeah. I applaud us for not getting too wonky on that segment. I actually really love municipal revenue bonds. So there's a structure for SEC athletic facilities that gets paid out by revenue from municipal bonds. And it's I think it's the most recession-proof thing that exists because nobody's going to stop going to SEC sports. But yeah,
that's
revenue
interesting.
bonds.
So my former boss, Charlie, was the only thing he would invest in is municipal bonds. And there was this is kind of the reason why I don't invest in crypto, right? It's because Charlie would always say, he's don't invest in what you report on. It's just a rule of thumb he's always had. And he's I stick to muni bonds. He's they're safe, they're not controversial. And so when I was writing the story, I just had Charlie in mind the whole time. It's just muni bonds and Charlie, they're safe, they're reliable, they're relatively uncontroversial. So
it's a really polite way of him saying, "Don't shit where you eat." Don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
He had another term which I will paraphrase, so we're not being rude. He said basically, he's I cover the circus, but I don't mess with the animals.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
That's
paraphrase.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Family-friendly Black Friday
Insert
show.
mess. Insert whatever verb you want
Yeah.
mess to be replaced
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
That's hilarious. That is really
All right, guys. Well, so we do have one more segment. We do have a little extra time today, and it is the Black Friday show. So we're going to do a little bit of a Thanksgiving Black Friday lightning round today, in the spirit of the holidays. I put together some questions, and I want your input here, but we can all discuss. Are you guys ready to do some lightning round
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Turkey Day questions?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So, all right, the first one, I borrowed this. I think it was from a meme. It was figure out who you're going to marry by going to their house on Thanksgiving. Do they do mimosas, or are they the type that does the church trot and runs 5Ks? So, are you guys mimosas people, or are you 5K families?
Damn.
Okay.
I did the 5K yesterday morning, and I was the mimosa family up until my parents moved to this new neighborhood, honestly. So I don't know. Can we be both?
You can be both. You can be both. I do just you got to earn the mimosa with the 5K. That's
like
the way to do it. There you
I wish
go.
we had mimosas on this right now. Wow, Prosecco. That's a bear market right there. Don Perry photo.
Yeah. All right. So next one, do you guys prefer to travel? So you go destination. Obviously, I think we kind of know the answer to this based on where we're all sitting right now. Or do you like everybody to come to you, and do you like to host the big day yourselves?
I travel, not to somewhere nice. I travel to Connecticut. No offense.
I feel like we all just default to travel. We all travel anyways. Like
I was gonna say, because we travel so much, I feel like it's nice to stay home. But like home for me, because I live in the same town as my parents, it's like home is my parents' house essentially. So like it's like I'm home anyway, kind of thing. So home is here. Like so, I'd rather stay here.
For chill. I don't want to go to like random in-law number 5, like their house. Like I'd rather just be the places I know.
Exactly.
I did see another great meme about when the tier 2 family leaves and the tier 1 family can stay and talk shit about them.
Right. That is a real thing. I can imagine.
That's the benefit of hosting. Yeah. And Ellie, you got to figure out we got to report on a UK Thanksgiving at some point. I know they pretend they have turkeys somewhere.
Well, it's funny. So this was my first Thanksgiving as a U.S. citizen. And my sister too, but my sister sadly couldn't join Thanksgiving yesterday because she had to work. She's a nurse, so she works overnights. So I was the only American at the Thanksgiving table yesterday. And so I was like, trying to get my parents on board. I was like making jokes, like immigrant jokes. I was like, all right, guys, like,
that can mean a few different things at a Thanksgiving table.
Jokes. Yeah, Ellie, do you want to share with the class?
We don't have politics at the table.
Like it's so nice to have like my immigrant parents here at this Thanksgiving table, this beautiful Thanksgiving spread. When my mom like made the spread, it was funny. But yeah, no, we really don't do like Thanksgiving like the traditional way. Like we didn't even have like traditional like Thanksgiving spread, but it was fun. It's good to get the family together, Yeah. I think that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. Less about the food and more about the family. But the food is always, food is always
pretty good. Yeah.
Food is a big part of the day. Where here it's like literally like a full cooking starts at maybe 8:00 in the morning. And we eat it at 8:00 at night. So it's a long day.
It's like a marathon cooking. Yeah. Totally get that.
It's a long day. Yeah. But all right. So on that note, the next one. So do you watch the parade in the morning, or do you watch the football game in the afternoon? I got stuck or was blessed to watch the Cowboys play yesterday. Actually, yeah. But so we went football. What about you guys?
I prefer the parade and the dog show. Underrated, the dog show. Yeah.
I have to say I prefer the parade and the dog show for sure. I'll catch the football, like if it's on and people are watching it, I'll watch like, clips of it. Like, but like usually now dog show.
We had the football games on in my house yesterday. I found it kind of like mind numbing and also shocking how many Americans go. Like obviously the stadiums are filled with Americans going to football games, but like that's what you do on Thanksgiving. Like I don't know anyone in my life that has ever gone to a football game for Thanksgiving, and yet the stadiums are filled.
That is I feel like you gotta be dedicated. There's some kind of special affinity there. What were the highlights of the dog show? Who won?
It was like this really tall black furry dog. Sorry, I had to finish that sentence before
that was the category. That was the category.
I don't know.
I think it was like black dog one.
I think it was like Siberian something. I don't know if we could pull it up, but
look it up.
Justify me, someone.
Who won the dog show?
Just a really big dog.
It was a big black dog. That's all I've got. Okay.
Oh yeah, he's gorgeous. He was let's see.
Come on, Ellie, save me. Yeah.
I'm trying to find the breed. Hang on. Of course they don't they give you all the other ones before they give you the winner.
Yeah, I think I fell asleep during the toy dog round on the couch. I just, I'm not a big fan of the little dogs. No offense to the little dogs.
All right. Well, if we can pull it up, we got 3 more lightning round. We got to close out the show strong. All right. So around the table or in your chats or wherever you're chatting, are we talking about Bitcoin or meme coins? I know meme coins like had a time. We already kind of covered Jackie's experience giving investment advice to the family.
I did not give investment advice.
Yeah, but what do you guys think?
Probably Bitcoin, because my parents can understand that more. Like, we're probably not talking about either, but if we had to talk about one, it would probably be Bitcoin.
I think Bitcoin now, but if you ask me, I think last winter was when like 2 winters ago, meme coins were like starting to get their rise. And I remember literally on Thanksgiving and Christmas, I was like obsessed with it. Like trading as we went on our family walk, sitting at the table, like looking at everything. I'm like, I'm up. But like not anymore. I don't
and then you're not. Yeah. And then you're not.
And then you lose it all and you're like, I'm moving on. Yeah. I refuse to have a gambling addiction. Yeah. What about you, Gerald?
I feel like we did a little bit of Bitcoin just in context of like, what do you do again? Yeah. And then I feel like meme coins, if you're going to discuss them, you have to have like Gen Alpha, like younger siblings or something, where they're somehow still like in it and like want to just be in the trenches on the meme coins. But yeah, it's maybe not the year.
I don't even know what meme coins are popping right now. Oh my God, there's a dog.
I knew this is a true test of our. Oh, it's like a
There
schnauzer.
we go. Thank you to our producer for pulling this up.
Look at that beard he's got. I love the beard.
He's majestic.
He's so majestic.
Big black dog. There we go.
That is a distinguished gentleman. If I've ever seen one. Yeah. All right, guys, 2 more. So cranberry sauce. This is controversial in my house. Homemade or canned?
Homemade.
Okay, interesting. So there would be some fights. There would be some fists thrown. They're canned, big can, and it just looks like a tube of Jello. That's what it looks like. I don't need it, but
I thought you were more sophisticated than this.
I thought so too. I failing on that one. All right, it is Black Friday.
Yes.
Black Friday. Are we shopping? I made some purchases this week. Are we shopping for crypto or clothes on Black Friday?
Clothes.
I should buy some crypto. I know Ellie can remind us that she owns no crypto.
Yeah.
Unless things have changed. Never too late, Ellie.
No, they haven't changed. Not today. I will be heading to the mall since I'm going to Dubai next week. I need to go buy some like
power suits.
Yeah, some power suits.
Yes.
Desert power suits.
Literally.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll go shopping too in both senses. What should I buy? Tell me, Gerald. What did you buy?
I definitely don't provide financial advice. So maybe we'll talk offline. We'll talk after
there
the show.
You go. Yeah, I gotta go look. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I never sell at the right times. I never buy at the right times. I think that's where the dollar cost averaging comes in well, and that's why I'm just better at talking about these things than buying them. Yeah. Can I ask you guys? I know we have a minute left. We made all the guests answer this, but what are you guys thankful for this year?
Go for it, Ellie.
Okay. I'm thankful for my amazing co-hosts and for Crypto in America, because I think we made the show and our the newsletter and our podcast pretty darn amazing. It's been an amazing venture. So I'm honored to be on this journey with you guys. So very thankful for what we've built. And I'm thankful for my family and my kitty cats, of course.
Love it.
Who I think will one day make an appearance on this Friday show. We'll have to time it right, but
we got to book them. We got to book them.
And Gerald's dogs.
Yeah. Exactly. We got to book them. Yeah.
All right, Gerald.
Yeah, I'll echo that on the podcast. This has been so much fun to launch and put together with you guys, and it's been a blast. Thankful for the family, the dogs. I'm also, I was thinking about this just now. I'm thankful that DC is a fun place to be if you're in crypto again this year. I don't know if Thanksgiving last year was as cool of a spot to be in. So yeah, thankful for all the progress that everybody's making and all the interesting stuff that we've done over this insane last 11 months. So yeah, that's what I'm thankful for.
Love it.
That's
amazing, guys. All right. Well, thankful for you guys too.
What about you?
Nobody asked me, so I'm not going to answer. Yeah. I am thankful, obviously, for this show. the companies that I run as well, and just like family, friends, my health, everything else in between. It's been a eventful
And our
year.
audience.
And our
audience.
I was going to end on our audience, because without
you
you guys, there is no show. So we are so grateful for you guys. And
We
thank
are.
you for listening in. No, there we go. Yeah, give us the sound again. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, happy Black Friday, guys, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. We'll see you guys
you
same
guys.
time, same place next week. Have a good weekend.